What's up, guys? Joe and Kev here again, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about U.S. suppliers versus China suppliers, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So first I'm going to talk about the benefits of using a U.S. supplier. So the first one that I listed was, the time frame, the time difference is the same. You're working with the U.S. supplier. The most that you're going to have time difference wise is 4 hours. Like if they're in Hawaii for some reason and you're on the East Coast, that's the biggest time difference that you're going to deal with. Dealing with China can be 24 hours. So you always have that lag time of, dealing with them responding to the next day. So that's definitely a huge one. Able to visit, you're in the same country. It's not flying all the way around the world to visit them in their factory. You can get to know them very well, and it's just a short time distance away. So
I agree with that. So I just want to touch base about that a little bit. If you are actually trying to place a huge order, maybe in the beginning you won't do this, but once you're ready to place big orders and you're actually doing big business with the companies, all your online shoppers are buying specific items from a certain supplier, there's going to be a time where you have to go visit the factory, right? There's going to be issues that you're going to have with them. And going across the country is expensive and it's hard. You have for some countries, for China, you have to go and you have to get a visa, and that you cannot do overnight. It takes a week at least to get that done, sometimes 2 weeks. So that's a huge, huge plus that you guys should definitely notate and take advantage of U.S. suppliers if you have them.
for sure, definitely. So the other one is, just to touch on that as well, is the control over to the production. So, if something happens to go wrong, assuming Kevin was talking about, having to visit them with large orders, but we're talking about drop shipping. So assuming that you're getting to that point where you're ordering large amounts, of product rather than just drop shipping them, or you're having large volumes, that could be, a situation. But controlling production is definitely a big one. You want to be able to talk to them and get to them if possible if there's a huge issue that goes wrong. Also, talking to a manager. Usually if you're dealing with China suppliers, they have a translator, somebody that knows English better than them. So, dealing with a translator, you're not talking to the head guy in charge. It takes a while to actually get to them. So that could be an issue that you come into as well. And just easy to fix quality issues, really. It's just, you want to have that ability if something goes wrong. It's just much easier that way, really. So
I agree. So before I actually opened up a U.S.-based factory, I actually imported, and I dealt with China. I dealt with 3 different suppliers. I had another clothing company, and it was only import. And so based on my experience, it was very hard for me. I flew out there a few times. It was expensive. I could never talk to the right people. And the biggest issue I had was they would always send me a sample, but the actual order that I ordered was always different sizes, and it was always a problem. And by the time I got here, there was no time for me to go back to the manufacturer. And once you accept the goods, you have to pay for them, right? And they're all in boxes, so you're not going to check 50 to 80,000 pieces of an item individually and ask for damages. Whereas here, let's say you do order 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 pieces. Let's say you go through them and you're having problems. You can literally contact them, or you can just go to their factory and talk to them. And that is very important. That's why I opened up my own factory. First of all, I'm a control freak, and I lost all control in China. Basically, they told me what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, and that was just unacceptable, especially when you want to have a quality product. And also, the biggest issue is I imported tank tops at one point, and I ordered them to come in the end of February, and on the orders, sometimes they didn't come until the end of June. And you can't really sell tank tops in the winter. It's a hard sell to do, and you're stuck. You don't know what to do. You already paid your deposit, and they'll tell you, okay, if you don't want to give us the next 60%, usually you pay a 20% deposit in the beginning, and then in order for them to issue the bill of lading, you have to give another 70%. And then once you receive the merchandise in your hand, you give them the last 10%, But they're not going to give you the bill of lading without giving them 90% of the money for the goods that you have. And that was the biggest issue. Like, they put me in a corner, and here I am. I just spent over $50,000 on goods that I'm going to receive in a different season. And there was nothing I could do about it. And at that point, that was when I was like, okay, you know what? I am going to start here now. I'm gonna open up a place in the U.S. It's gonna be tough, but whatever. It's life, you know. And I'm gonna have a successful business. I'm gonna bring out quality items, quick samples, quick turnaround times. But I was ready to do that. If I can go back in time and if I were to start, I already had sales, so it was easier for me to get that done. If I were to go back in time, I would pay more for the pieces in order to have it in the US, have it on time, and be able to have the control on my quality and the fabric and everything, because they can literally send a sample to you easily. You know, you get it within a week. Whereas in China, sometimes it takes 2.5 weeks. It gets lost in the mail. And once I was ready, then I'd ask them, okay, how much is if I want to order 200 pieces or 1,000 pieces, and trying to kind of get to know them, you know? And if I had to open up a factory, if I'm really, really ready for it, because it is a lot of work, you have a lot of employees, like we're stuck with a lot of fabric that we just don't use anymore, and then I would open up my own factory. But I would try and find a really good manufacturer that I can trust and is willing to work with me from the beginning, because to be honest with you, in clothes, that's where my experience is. Now that I have a factory, my cost versus China cost really isn't that different. Because don't forget, whenever you're buying stuff from China, you have duties, right? Like you have to pay tax and tariffs on the items that you're getting. Sometimes on specific items, on some of the fabrics that we have to pay a 60% tariff. So if the item costs $33, right there you're paying an additional $1.75 or something for duty fees, which is going on top of that. So you just have to see what you're selling, what makes sense. Obviously, like labels and easy stuff like that, it's probably easier to get. There's a lot of middlemen in the U.S. so they actually get it from China, and then they'll ship it to you for a profit. Those people are always going to make money. They're in business to make money, so you're going to pay more for that. You have to go direct to a factory who does it in-house, and they're willing to work for you. Look, if China was really that much cheaper, there would be no U.S. manufacturing companies still around, and they would all be out of business. The reason why they're still around is because the profit margins work, and they're still making money. So that's just my 2 cents. I personally am a big fan of USA manufacturing. Also with Chinese orders, look, if you have a big order and you have some sort of direct connect, all power to you. I think it can be good. But if you don't, like with our order, even though we were ordering 50,000, 60,000 pieces, they would put our stuff to the sewers that weren't as experienced, the cutters that weren't as experienced, and they would keep all their best people for their other companies that would order 150,000, 200, 300,000 pieces on a monthly basis and put us to the side. Like we were just like, okay, like whenever we finish everything, we'll take this. I had one manufacturer actually source my work out. He didn't even want to do it. So he would take my work and give it to another company, and they would finish it, and he didn't even see the pieces, which was unbelievable. But yeah, so that's basically U.S. Manufacturing for you versus China. I'm sure a lot of people have great experience working with China factories, but that's just my 2 cents. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys have any questions about it, if I can help you with my experience, if Joe can help you, please hit the subscribe button below.
Make sure you join our group as well on Facebook. We'll leave a link down there for you. And there's a lot of active members really just helping each other out. Also Etsy sellers that are in the U.S. making stuff by themselves, handmade. So join that group, and it can definitely help you out.
Ask your friends to join. Please press subscribe, because the more subscribers we get, then we know that you guys are actually utilizing our information. If it just stays like that, no one's watching the videos or no one cares, then we might even stop the video. So we just want to make sure that you guys are actually getting something out of this, and we're benefiting your lives and your business in some sort of way. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and have a great day.